Okay, so Shawn, it's great to see you.
Good morning.
And I've been waiting for this because when we spoke before, um, I told you that, 55 plus, I don't know anything about the communities, but it's such a big thing nowadays, and so many people are interested in it, and you're an expert in it. So the first thing that I wanted to do is just have you kind of give a rundown of your experiences and explain who you are and what exactly do you do?
Great. My name is Shawn Jardine. I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of Arizona. I've done this for 35 years, so I think I know a few things. What happened to me is in any kind of sales, you sell where you're at, and your client base might be trending more towards your age. In my case, I started when I was 28, so I had young clients. Now I'm 62. I found that my clients were 55 to 65, and my YouTube channel proves that out. I started a YouTube channel a few years ago talking about 55 plus real estate, and lots of people enjoy watching to learn about these communities. And so here in Arizona, it's a big deal. I moved here about 11 years ago because it was cold in Colorado, where I came from, and just started a new life like many people in the US today. So here I am and loving my 55 plus life here in Arizona.
Now, do you live in a 55 plus community
I
also?
do. I actually own two properties, one in Scottsdale where I live,
Mhm.
and it's in what I would call a black market 55 plus. It used to be official. It is a Del Webb community, but it's so quiet. I if anybody wants to know about these communities, call me. I'll tell you what not to do. This house, a whole separate circumstances why I bought it, but and I like living close to my kids, but I own a home in what I consider the best 55 plus community in the Phoenix area, that I rent out. And I will move into that home in a few years. And I'm jealous of all my friends and clients that get to live there right now because it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's one of the major questions that I had is, so when I think about a 55 plus community, so I'm not there yet, but when I think about it, I think of what I've seen online and brochures and stuff like that. And to me, this is just a picture that I've painted for myself. I haven't spoken to many people about this, but it shows, number one, you're with your peers, so you're in an age group, and it's not like when you live in a neighborhood, you have someone down the street who has little kids and the other person's 50 years old, the other one's 90 years old. It's more like you're in with your peers. And number two, it just seems like it's like there's so many activities that you could not get bored unless you're antisocial and you don't want to
Yeah.
involve yourself. So tell us some of these activities and stuff that they have in these 55 communities and
Well,
55 plus.
they will all have some sort of community center. Different communities or different brands. When I say brands, I'm talking about different developers, and a lot of big national developers, home builders will build these communities. They'll all have a community center with some standard things, at least one pool, usually multiple pools, a lap pool for swimming, because some people like to swim laps every day, and a resort pool where you can hang out and just chat with people while you sit in the pool and relax. Then you're going to have gyms. You'll have pickleball courts, tennis courts, a million clubs. You'll have the Corvette Club, the Republican Club, the Democrat Club. In my case at Pebble Creek, where I own my second home, we have the Colorado Club, where all the Colorado people get together once a year for a gigantic party that's lots of fun. They have clubs for many other states. You've got arts and crafts. All of these activities are interest based. So that's how you meet people. If you decide to stay in your current home or retire to, a college town, let's say, how are you going to find your people?
Yeah.
In a 55 plus community, you'll go to the pool. So you know those people. Then you might join bocce ball, which crazy enough, it is fun.
Yeah.
You might join an arts class. Pretty soon they all start to intersect. And at bocce, people from 3 other activities that you do. And then you've got people saying, hey, do you guys want to come over Friday night? We just smoked some ribs. You
Yeah.
know, bring something to drink and come hang out with us.
It actually sounds more fun than being between the ages of 40 and 50. It seems like
Well,
you're entering this new world that
it is. And crazy enough, I saw the other day, Taco Bell is getting in on the active living segment with a community that they're developing for ages 45 and up. And I
oh
think it's because people really want a way to connect. That's why college is so fun.
yeah,
Everybody goes, there's a dorm, you're all living together. You've got activities that you're doing, it's planned out. You can still have your own free time. This is the same thing. It just at an older age when you're probably not working or you've scaled back your work and you've got time. You're not raising kids or, doing committed activities every day at 8 a.m.
yeah, yeah. Well, that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, I'm sure, and I've thought about this, I'm sure there's different communities for everyone, meaning financially, or if you like certain activities, or if you like a big community, or you like a small community as opposed to a big community. So what are those different, I guess, communities that you serve in your area, and what are the differences between those communities?
Well, in my area, we have a wide range, and I cover most of the state of Arizona. If not me personally, then one of my team members. There are big communities, such as the one I mentioned before, Pebble Creek, which has 6,000 homes. They've got the biggest amenities. But then you might have a little small community with, 400, 500 homes.
Hmm.
Arizona Traditions, Sundance. There are some that are much smaller. Um, a- and then in between, you've got the Del Webb communities, which are very, very nice. So there are different layers, there are different levels. What it comes down to, and something I always ask when people reach out to me from YouTube is, what do you do in your free time? I have found over the last few years that it is not so much about the house in this demographic. It is about, what am I going to do with my free time? So if you're somebody, I had one gentleman who called me about 2 years ago and he said, do you have a spreadsheet of all of the pickleball courts in every community?
Yeah,
And I said, no, but in my free time, I'll just whip that up. But he is seriously into pickleball.
yeah,
So he wants a community with the most opportunities to play. In his case, it's Pebble Creek, 36 courts. If you're really into pickleball, you don't want a place that only has 4 courts.
yeah.
Or those courts might be empty, but there's nobody to play with. You need enough of whatever it is that you like to do to make sure that you'll have fun. And it can be found in most price ranges within reason, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would think that that's super important as an agent or a broker like yourself for people to contact you because people don't know, and it's nice to be able to, I always thought, oh, well, you could go to this community and have someone walk you around and show you the place, or you could call someone like yourself, which knows all the different communities in the area that can say, listen, oh, you like this, you like that, okay, I'll show you everything, but let me just show you this first. I think you're really going to fit in here. And another
Yeah.
thing, like you said, 500 units, I mean, that's 500 to 1,000 people. That's a lot of people, you know.
It is, and it isn't. It depends again, what are your interests and what kind of amenities. Some people are overwhelmed by a big community. They might be a little more introverted
Mhm.
and it freaks them out. Other people are extreme social. They can't wait to get out there and join 58 clubs.
Yeah,
I'm kind of in the middle. When I'm not working, I like a lot of quiet time, but I know those people are out there having fun, and it's really a good thing. But talking to a trusted advisor is your best first step. This is not like when we were younger and you might just go to some open houses and choose a house, or, these days you might call off of a Zillow ad. A 55 plus community is much more than that. You really need a trusted advisor who is unbiased
Yeah.
and will say, here are 4 communities that might fit your needs. Let's go check them out. And I'll tell you everything I know about these 4 communities. I'll tell you what all of my other clients liked or didn't like. And then you can gather all of your data to make the best decision.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the communities? I know you said, what was it? Pebble Beach? Is that what you said?
Pebble Creek
Pebble
is,
Creek. All right.
is the biggest in the Tucson area. We've got Saddlebrook Ranch, we've got Quail Creek, Sun City, the OG of all 55 plus. That was the very first 55 plus community in the country, is here in the Phoenix area. There are various Sun Cities: Sun City Festival, Sun City West, Sun City Grand. We've got a bunch of them. Some are brand new, still building homes. The original Sun City is a little older, but still a fantastic place as far as value and bang for your buck, along with all of the amenities they have. They have 8 rec centers there.
Wow. I'm going to link, definitely put some links in the description below with not only your contact information, but some of the list of the places that you service. So on to like more of a cooler question, I guess you would say. This is something that I hear about because some people know that I live in Florida, so we have communities also, and I hear this. What is okay, if you're married, going down, what is life like as a married person, and then as a single person, your love life. So both married, how do they spark up that romantic, that romance that you had or still have, and then as a single person, how do you get that romance that you're longing for when you're in that age bracket?
I think several things for married people. This is what I see. I know that a lot of people, they've gone through the phases of life and they think, they're looking at that partner they've been married to for 40 plus years, thinking, I know I married you for some reason, but I'm a little sick of this. And they choose a community lifestyle to kind of remember who they were when they're young. We get so bogged down in raising a family, going to work, taking care of our older parents, all of those things. You forget about your partner.
Yeah.
And so for married people, it gives them 2 things. The first thing is a way to do fun things together. Maybe you'll go take a pickleball lesson together. Maybe you'll both take up golf. A lot of people that call me say, we've never done XYZ, but we're going to learn. So there's that. The other thing that it does, because people do independent activities, the husband does his thing, the wife does her thing. It keeps you from sitting in the house staring at each other, getting angry while he does nothing all day. And he's saying, well, all she does is watch YouTube all day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not helpful. So it gives you activities to do. For single people, same thing. There are, I would say, quite a few singles, and I've had people relocate here who are immediately active. And it's not like they're only joining a singles group. They're hanging out with married people. They're hanging out with single people. They're just meeting new fun people. And from there, their life just expands. And that is the key, having those scheduled activities to be your connecting point. It's interest based. And so if you have that connecting point, I'm not saying you're immediately going to find your life partner in one of these communities, but you're at least going to have a lot of fun while you're checking out the options.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a friend who he's 64, and I've been trying to get him to, come down and check out some over 55 areas. I said, I think you're really going to like it because he's really active. He's, outgoing, and he doesn't have he doesn't have that community that you seem to,
Yeah.
see people that, have it in the 55 plus. And he actually thought, how you don't know what you don't know. He
Yeah.
actually thought that you pull up to a gate and you show your ID and they say, okay, you're going to building 5. Okay, fine. Go ahead. On the way out, check out with us. He didn't realize that these are communities where, maybe you have to do that. I don't know, but you actually have individual places and then you have tennis courts over here and you
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of a myth, and I see this in my comments on my YouTube videos. There are in everywhere 55 plus apartment buildings,
Mhm.
usually subsidized, government subsidized housing, not usually, but many times. And that's a whole different lifestyle. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a neighborhood that's the same neighborhood that we all used to live in when we were raising kids and the neighborhood was filled with a bunch of families.
Mhm.
It's the same thing, only a collection of homes, usually inside a gate or a separate area with a bunch of fun things to do.
Yeah.
And so it is a myth that these are some kind of senior center.
Yeah.
And when you're in there, you can't leave, you can't have grandkids, there's a lot of can'ts. None of that is true. We're all going downtown, we're going to plays, we're going to NBA games, we're getting on airplanes and going places. It's just that when you're not doing those things, we have a lot of cool, fun things to do in the community all day, every day.
Wow. Now, one of the things also that I think you have in these 55 plus communities, at least the ones that you've mentioned, you have like a main street or a downtown kind of area where they have hairdressers and, restaurants and these type of things within the community.
Now, if you're from Florida, you know the Villages, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, the Villages has the squares.
Yeah.
Because it's so big, you've got these little neighborhoods within the overall community,
Mhm.
and they will have shopping and all of those services. In the real world, not so much. Now, many communities, I'm not going to say all of them, but many communities have at least one place to dine. And that comes from, there's always a golf course.
Yeah.
And anybody who's ever played golf and gone to the clubhouse restaurant afterwards knows that's where you get the best French dip sandwiches in the world. I don't know why that is, but it's usually pretty good food.
Mhm.
And so you can eat and drink. Some of them are going further now to advance their restaurants. They've got breweries in the Robeson communities, Pebble Creek, Quail Creek, Saddlebrook. They've got a brewery where they're making their own beer. They've got, special pizza ovens. They've got indoor, outdoor bars. It is leveling up to the outside world.
Yeah.
Now, people still go out on a Friday night to have dinner or listen to music, but many communities, you have that in the community. You generally have a snack bar by the pool where you can get, chicken fingers and fries for your lunch or drinks sent over. There'll be a coffee shop. Some of the newer communities have a spa where you can
Mhm.
go get a spa treatment.
Yeah.
So all of those amenities are there. And what I notice is developers of these communities, as a younger population is moving in, what was popular 20 years ago, coffee wasn't a thing, 25, 30 years ago, where we were all going to Starbucks all the time.
Mhm.
Now they need to compete with the outside world. So they're adding those features into the communities.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's definitely cool. Um, Now we talked about the costs before. Can you
Mhm.
give me, if I was to call and just say, look, I don't know my budget, but this is how much I'm selling my house for up here, and I kind of am looking for this range. What would be a range of the cost of not only the houses, but the cost of living maybe per month?
A, a cost of a home in Arizona in one of these communities generally is you can find stuff in the 200,000s. You can get condos for 160,000 in Sun City.
Hmm.
The cost will go all the way up to, we're getting to the higher 1 millions,
Mhm.
1.5, 1.7 million in some of the communities for a bigger home.
Mhm.
The sweet spot seems to be about 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms and a den with some sort of outdoor living. And my average sales price is about 550,000.
Okay.
So not super expensive. Now I know that some people on YouTube will say, well, that's not affordable. Well, it is affordable for some people. We have options below or above. For monthly cost of living, you're going to have to think about property taxes, which in Arizona are low. You might pay 3,000-ish, depending on when the house was built per year. Then you've got a monthly HOA fee, 275-ish, and that is going to include all of your amenities. So the only cost you're going to pay would be if you take a class. So you want to do ceramics. There might be some, material fees associated with that class. But if you want to go to the pool or the gym every day, it's free.
Okay. And another thing, living here in Florida, especially in the last, so I've been here for 7 years. The last, well, after COVID, especially, but let's just say the last 5 years, I've seen, of course, we always get the New Yorkers and New Jersey and PA, kind of the Northeast. I've seen a lot of people from Canada and
Mhm.
from the Chicago area and a lot more from the Midwest, Tennessee. I mean, I just bump into people from all of these places. Where do people come to go to Arizona? Is it all over the
It
country?
is, funny enough, I'm getting Florida people. I have some people that I have to call this morning. They bought a house last week. It came from Florida.
They've had it
And
with
they've
taxes.
got, well, insurance,
Yeah.
property insurance has been a big thing. And during COVID, so many people just moved to get out of where they were. They didn't maybe do all the planning that they might have done had it not been that situation. So they may have landed somewhere they didn't like, or it's this generation, the people just turning 55, um, is less likely to stay someplace for the next 30 years.
Okay.
They'll go someplace and then say, nah, we tried it. Now we're going to buy a van and live in a van. I mean, there's so many options now for people. But for Arizona, the bulk of the people I get are Pacific Northwest, Minnesota, Illinois. Some people who already live in Arizona, but just want to go into a community. But we're getting people from all over. Some dear people that I worked with that finally got here last week. They're from Long Island,
Hmm.
so it's everywhere. And people mistakenly assume that all Northeastern people want to go to Florida. No, they want to go other places too. And Florida has gotten a lot of bad press lately because of insurance
Mhm.
costs, and it's just crowded.
Yeah.
And if they want some wide open spaces, Arizona's great, but we get a lot of Canadians. Um, I had a guy, his daughter called me. He was the former Italian ambassador to the USA. So international people, I've had British people call me. It's everywhere, just like Florida.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I really think, I mean, when I was looking into this, I mean, the visuals that you see of all the activities and amenities and friendship, because especially, I'm in the 50 age range, and the French, you have to really seek out friendship and activities, and it takes a lot of work, because if you're not in a community like that, you might have to drive a half hour to go to this meetup group, or
Yeah.
maybe even 45 minutes to go to the
Yeah.
beach, and you try to meet people around. So I can really see how people would be drawn to this kind of lifestyle, because it's golfing, like you said, pickleball, and you have all these different women's groups, men's groups, political groups, whatever there is. Sounds like there's everything that anyone could want,
Every
packed in.
everything you could ever imagine. And if there's some crazy obscure thing that's not on the list, you can start it. And there will be people who will show up for
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know of any other way that you can immediately have a built-in community. And that's why you are seeing Taco Bell. Other companies are getting in on this at a younger age. because we are an isolated society. We're on our phones, we're on our screens. We're forgetting there's a whole big life out there and we need to go live it. And so a lot of development companies are looking at the younger demographics. My son and his wife they moved out of this community, but they loved it. It was a big master plan community with the rec centers and the pools and all of that stuff. It was for young families with kids.
Yeah.
But if you just take those people out and bring in older people and get some clubs, that's a 55 plus.
Yeah.
So we're all looking for community.
Yeah.
But it gets harder. Again, you've had a lifelong career, you've had a family, you probably took care of aging parents, and now how am I going to go meet people? You're right. You have to, do what I did when I moved here 11 years ago. I had to go on Meetup. I joined a book club. You have to really work hard. And then you go to a bunch of different groups that are weird people that aren't even like you. And you come home at night and you think, well, that was 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. A
Yeah.
55 plus community is a little different because we're all about the same.
Yeah. So, last question. If somebody, what would be the steps? Let's say I'm 56 or 57 and I decide, you know what? I watched something or a friend of mine moved somewhere and it just sounds like a good idea. What is the first step? Obviously, the first step will be to pick up the phone and call you. What are the steps after that?
After that, what I usually do, people see me on my YouTube channel, which is kind of, it's online dating for real estate. You're watching some videos and see who you like.
Uh-huh.
They'll call me and I like to have a Zoom with them just so I can ask questions and say, what do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah.
That's how I will recommend a community to them because everybody wants the same kind of house. We can find a house anywhere. If they use certain keywords in a sentence, if they say, well, we like to hike and we're very outdoorsy, okay, that's going to be a different community than Pebble Creek with, 6,000 homes and, arts and crafts buildings.
Mhm.
That's not going to be their thing. But if somebody says, I've always wanted to learn watercolor painting in fusion glass, okay, you're going to Pebble Creek. So based on their interests, we have a conversation and I can advise them where we should start looking. Then they'll plan a house hunting trip to come here, spend a few days in a hotel. We pick them up, show them the various communities, tour them around the city, give them our knowledge. I mean, the community is great, but we need to know where's the hospital. What's the
Oh,
best
yeah.
hospital?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is key when you're choosing your retirement destination. A lot of people choose a city and then figure out, the healthcare might not be as good as I thought it would be. And
Yeah.
then they need to make a move. So there's a lot of pieces that you have to get right. And calling a trusted advisor to help you with that is the first step. And from there, we will guide you.
It's funny you mentioned healthcare. I'm surprised I didn't mention healthcare, working with Medicare, you know, supplements and so forth. But that is, that is significant, especially if you have certain doctors or certain specialists and
It really is.
yeah,
And you may not even have those specialists yet. You don't know. Nobody pencils in cancer on their day timer
yeah,
and says, on 24 August at 4:30, I'm going to get a diagnosis and need an oncologist. I didn't know what an oncologist was when I got a diagnosis. And thankfully, Mayo Clinic was 8 minutes from my house.
mhm,
So not that we're planning to get sick, but as a contingency, you need to know if I do need something, how far is it to my house? You need to be thinking, okay, if I call 911 and have a fall, which hospital are they taking me to?
mhm,
All of those things are very, very important. And more so even than the hospital, because we get kind of wrapped up in, well, this brand of hospital or that brand. For me, I want to know where the physical therapy clinic, because if I have ankle surgery, I have to go to physical therapy 3 or 4 times a week. I don't want someplace that's far. I want a PT place that's right outside the gate of my community. So those are the things that we point out to people. Sometimes I don't think they're listening because they're like, yeah. We want to, how many pickleball courts?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really need to be thinking about all of the health options as well.
That's great. Well, look, this was great talking to you. I'm going to link your YouTube channel. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's YouTube/Southwest 55 plus, it's 55 plus with
Yes,
the fives or the numbers and the word plus after. But the
exactly.
link is going to be in the description.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
of course, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, this has been really good. I'm excited to just tell what I know to your audience
Yeah.
because we're all in the same boat together here. Well, not you, you're younger, but I'm a little older and thinking about the same things that many of us are. 10,000 people every day in America turn 65. We're all going to have to live somewhere in retirement. How are we going to max out the years that we have left? That's what I like to assist people with.
Great. Well, I tell my audience like it's fantastic talking to you. We've talked offline and it was a lot of fun. And you're just as bubbly when you're not on camera as you are on camera. They should know that you're really easy to deal with. I mean, the first time we talked, we're laughing and talking. And so you're fantastic. I mean, I definitely want to anyone who's looking to, get some guidance with this, in that Arizona area, 55 plus should definitely give you a call. And thanks so much
And
for,
I can help people all over the nation because a
okay.
lot of people are looking at Arizona or Florida or South Carolina or Nevada. I can tell you what I know. I'm happy to have a conversation with somebody if they just need a little bit of info before they hone in on someplace or before they spend money to go to different places. So I can help with all of that. And I love talking to people about these communities. So just reach out and I'm happy to chat.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Shawn.
My pleasure.
And
We'll
hopefully
talk
we'll talk
again
again.
soon. Yes, we will. I'm
First
sure.
of
Thank
many.
you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with your audience.
Me too. All right. Take
Okay.
care. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.